Gardeners love to show you their successes, their bountiful harvests, their luscious plants. Here at Garden Grown Groceries, things don't always go according to plan, but here at Garden Grown Groceries, we want to show you what's going on week by week so that you know what can happen in your own garden when you try to grow your own vegetables. So because things don't always go to plan, this week, I want to show you some of my failures, or what's looking like they're going to turn into failures. Let's go take a look. Let's start inside the greenhouse with our cauliflower. And it looks like I've got something in here that's chewing up the cauliflower leaves. As you can see here, this one's all chewed up. There's something that's been gnawing on the leaf here and here. Nearly wiped out that one. That's down to a nub. This one's almost gone. This one's got chunks taken out of it. This one has been taken out. This is just been cut off. And these leaves, I've looked around. I can't see what's cutting them, what's eating them up. So I'm a bit surprised. I didn't actually expect anything to happen to these plants. As you notice, I've planted them in coffee pots, and that's where I was going to be growing my cauliflower, was in coffee containers. And I was going to do a little segment on them, but I might not be. And it just so happens all the extras that I had grown, because I had grown a lot of cauliflower seeds, I ended up giving away all the extras because I figured 8 plants was enough. And now I'm barely down to 4, and some of those look like they're going to be doubtful. Outside, if you recall, these are the turnips, and they had a netting over the top of them to protect them. I finally thinned out the extras that were growing, and they were doing quite well. But as you can see, there's been a lot of soil disturbance in here, and there's no cover on it. I had taken the row cover from here and put it into the main garden, which I'll show in a minute. But squirrels have come and been digging up in here. I'm not sure they've killed anything, but I can see this particular plant was knocked over, and they've disturbed the soil in here, that's for sure. I'm not sure what they were digging for, but yeah, squirrels. I'm gonna need to put a cover on here. Same thing with our beets. They had begun sprouting. These are the ones we direct sowed, but they started digging in here all along the edge here. So you can see here, they've dug up one of the seedlings that was there. Looks like they even broke the root off of it. Didn't quite plan for that. In our little herb garden planter here, while the transplants are doing well for the most part, including the lettuce, we've lost a couple. When I initially had planted out, I had planted 2 plants in each of these and realized that was just going to be too much for this size container, so I ended up retransplanting some of them, and I'm not sure how clear that is, but yeah, I've lost, well, 1, and a couple are struggling, so it would have been smarter to have just planted 1 in each of those containers. Waltham 29 broccoli that I have, generally doing okay, but this one is having a rough go of it, and I think that's because of my dog, because he comes over here and he pees right there all the time, but he stands on the plant here. Hadn't factored that into my planning. I think I mentioned in my update video that there was something gnawing on the Brussels sprouts, as you can see, just like our cabbage, but these are outdoors obviously. And I've been out here all different hours of the day trying to find that caterpillar or whatever it is that's eating them. And I can't find him anywhere. I check underneath all the leaves all the time, and I just don't see him. So I'm not sure if it's a slug coming out in the middle of the night, but something's attacking my Brussels sprouts. And that's actually why I have row covers on the beds here. This was the row cover that was over on the turnips initially, and I went over there. And that's because I saw the dreaded cabbage moth fluttering around here, so it might even be too late. He might have laid his eggs, but I've only seen it one day, and I said I got to get the row cover out. Obviously this one's been through a few seasons and has gotten torn up. I've got a brand new one now that I'll take out and cover the bed with, but it could be too late. That the cabbage moth might have already gotten his eggs laid on some of the cabbages or the rutabaga, or maybe on the Brussels sprouts that I haven't had a chance or an ability to cover up just yet. Now, I think the biggest error I might have made comes with my potatoes, and there have been multiple errors. There's something going on with this potato here has caused it to wilt and die back. Actually, this is looking a lot better now than it was. This stalk right here was looking like this the other day, and it was actually what spurred me to consider making this video on some of the mistakes I've made, because when I saw that, I started looking at my other potato plants and noticed something. You can see here this yellowing of the leaves, and it's a little prominent in some of them. Let me see. This one here has some yellowing, and in here it was actually a lot worse the other day. And what it was, I believe, overwatering. I think I overwatered my plants. And I mean, you can see here on the leaves, we had gotten up to the 100 degrees. We had like 3 days in a row of 90 to 95 degree temperatures, and then 2 straight days of 100 degree temperatures. Today, it's much more seasonal. It's in the 50s. I just stopped watering them completely. I had watered them so much because I was concerned that being in the buckets, they would dry out, but I overdid it. So you really have to temper your watering in buckets. I mean, one of the things that happens when you water bucket grown plants is that you're flushing out the nutrients from the soil too. So I ended up putting in a fast-acting fertilizer in here, a balanced fertilizer, a 10-10-10, and that may have helped allow the plants to bounce back pretty quickly. But the plants were actually much more yellow than they are today, and I think it could be because of the fertilizer I added. But again, you can see like some of the markings there on the leaves, and there were like whole stalks that were like that. I would like to point out, it looks like the Sharpo mirror here may already be producing flower heads. Now this bucket on the end, you might recall from the update video that I said this water wasn't draining and I didn't know why. Well, after I watered it for the last time the other day, and it did it again, I said, let me just look. And I tilted the bucket back, and I used a bucket without drainage holes. I don't know how I did that, but this thing was just sitting in water for 2+ weeks, filled with water. So I'm pretty certain that those plants drowned in there and they're not gonna make it. So that, I don't know how I used a bucket without drainage holes, but it's the only one that was. So that one we could pretty safely write off. So some of these are forced errors, like forgetting to cover the brassicas with a row cover before cabbage moth came out. Maybe I got it in time. That still remains to be seen. Others you can't plan for. My cauliflower in the greenhouse getting chewed up by something. I don't know. My Brussels sprouts getting chewed on. I'm looking for it, but I can't find it yet. Some of those things you can't help. They're gonna happen to you. The potatoes, that I should have known better. I've been growing potatoes for a number of years now in buckets. I should know not to overwater them. And I certainly should know to use a bucket with drainage holes in it. But the early onset of this super hot weather, so early in the season, that got me a little nervous about them drying out. And I wanted to make sure that they had plenty of water. And I probably gave them too much water. I may have been able to catch it early enough, correct it with the fast-acting fertilizer. Could probably throw a little bit more Epsom salts in there to give them a little bit more magnesium. Yellowing of leaves can often points to a magnesium deficiency, a nitrogen deficiency, or the overwatering. So I'll probably toss a little bit more Epsom salts in the buckets when I finally do water my plants again. And hopefully that'll balance things out. But these are things that can go wrong in your garden if you're not careful. And even if you are, Mother Nature throws you a curveball every now and then. But if you want to see what we were doing in our garden last week, check out this video right here, and then subscribe and hit that notification bell. And that way you'll be able to follow along in the progress on all of our vegetables, good or bad, as we try to grow a supermarket in our own backyard. Okay, thanks for watching.